Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I've got the blank, which is great, Q and V not so good, and F and V not so good. So the choice is changing or playing chin. Let me see what chin looks like, keeping FNV. I don't like that. I think it's going to be better to change. The rack leave after changing is just going to be so good. There must be a very strong chance of bingoing. And there is, and there simply wouldn't have been if I'd retained F and V. So, I will have a choice of bingos here. And hopefully a few floaters to go through as well. But supposing opponent changes, he doesn't. Box takes a Y. Not seeing anything with a Y. I think a play in rows G or I, getting value off all of the tiles in box is going to be best. But do I have a play beginning or ending in O? Not that I can see. So what sevens do I have? Not seen any at all so far, but I'm sure there's a ton of them. Well, maybe not a ton. Hopefully one. One time, does that work? No, it doesn't, in terms of overlapping every tile. So I do have a playable bingo. Well, I have option E in column 8, beginning with the O. That would be 77 points. It's going to be a very similar score. I'm going to carry on looking for a playable 7. Wow, this is remarkable. I really was expecting there to be loads, and either my mind isn't quite working yet, or there are far fewer than I thought. This rack, for example, I would expect there to be a bingo here. Enormously high probability. Not seeing it. I point through a P. No, well, I'm grateful for option E. This is going to score the same as a parallel play. It's just a bit more open, which is fine. And, well, not a great rack, but not a terrible one either. I do have the F for score. What I don't have is a bingo. Well, let's see if opponent comes back. Great, opponent is back. I thought he might be. I've played him before and our game did reach a conclusion. I'm still not a fan of off. The score is low and there's an opportunity for opponent to score off the X. If I played foe, wow, great play by opponent. Certainly worth coming back for. And look at that, a bingo with a V and a Y. Both blanks have now gone. What about a double-double through the T or the I? T looks more likely. Not seeing one. I now trail despite starting with a bingo and only playing a bingo. Victory tricky for parallel plays because the C only takes an H after it. No R for fade Dieu. I do have fade in through the I, wrecking the rack. Well, what about playing Chufa? 15 points. Now fade in, 20. I'm sacrificing 5 points, but this isn't a bad 4-letter set. Goes quite well with the T. And Chufa only takes an S. I'm going with this. What about playing Chufa at the top here for 1 fewer point and avoiding putting a vowel? Yeah, I'm minded to do this, despite the T being useful. Chufa for 14. So I have Aliundi and Unideal. I don't think either plays. I have Unnailed through the N of option E. And I think Unveiled through the V of Victory. That's been blocked. So Unnailed through this N. Do I have anything this rack plus an E? That would be a 5 vowel 8. I don't think so. 2 spots for this, and I think this is the better one. Otherwise, the E would be underneath the double word square. And, well, it's not a terrible rack. B, W, and Y are non-bingo-y, but they go together reasonably well, so I should be able to play off 2 of them and hopefully get a decent score. I have now squeaked into the lead, but by a pretty small margin. Now, having avoided placing the E under this double word square, I have put an A above a triple letter square. So, where can I play off my big tiles? And through... Wow, opponent resigns. Bizarre. Well, maybe something's just happening in his life, which means he's unable to continue. We're quite close, so it's surprising that he's resigned. I don't think he's resigned because he's given up hope of winning. So, let's have a look at the game. Final score, well, 161-5-2, but still most of the tiles unplayed. So it was me to go first. Chin was what I was thinking of, and I changed instead. And this was opponent's rack. Wow, no bingo, plays box. My rack, so here we go. I saw one time, which plays G7. Oh wow, that does play above box. I was considering it starting to the left. Ebonite looks like the only other 7. Wow, and that does play in row I, and then option E for 74. So not much difference in score, but option E puts a few more floaters in the open. Great bingo by opponent, plays victory. And this is where I played Tufa for 14, keeping Dean. Facade, D8, getting the F double, keeping UN for 26. So, is Dean 12 points better than NU? I suspect not. There's some synergy going on with UN. I think UN probably worth minus 2 or 3, and Dean probably worth plus 8 or 9, so there could be a 10-point difference, only a 12-point difference in score, so either play is fine, and my play has the better rack leave. Opponent plays jilts, and now I get unnailed down. Untailed, also playable through this T. Playing Tufa didn't take out the only T on the board as a floater. Okay, so that was the end of that. Let's crank up another game. Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first, and I have a balanced rack, no duplicates, but no bingo either. I can play... Well, I think the choice is between playing Women and Mo. And I'm going to play Mo. I have a preference for shorter plays and better rack leaves. But what would Women score? 28. Only 12 more points. Yeah, Mo is better. Great, and this is why it's better. I have a bingo. I have entries, entires, nerites, retines, trienes, and possibly 1 or 2 others. And I have Onerius down from the O. So I am surely bingoing. Mo takes an N after it. A, N and S. And Oneriest remains available. No double doubles available. Moan takes nothing after it. What about a play in row I? Well. What about retines in this spot? I was hesitating about playing entires because of putting the E under this double letter square. Retines for 78. What would Oneriest score? 77. So this scores more. Pretty horrendous. Q and W, K and B. Through an F, I would have Wakf. I can play Bork in the sense that I have the tiles for that word on my rack and it gets rid of B, K and W. I'm not sure it actually plays on the board. But certainly if I'm keeping the Q, I'd like to get rid of as many as possible of B, K and W. Opponent may be drawn to row H. I'm not sure that's going to particularly assist me. If he doesn't play there, I have Woke, keeping BAQ. Certainly a decent score. Column 11, attractive in that it's got a double word square and can score off the B. But the U, certainly not useful for me. It doesn't take that many tiles after it. So I could play Woke in column 11. But that's a far lower score than row H. Ami takes an A in front, so I could play Core. Wow, opponent's got a U and he doesn't stick it in the open. That's a shame. He has not provided anywhere for Bork. However, I can play Weak for 31, which makes inroads into this rack. Is there any way of doing better? WEW is good. No, I can't see anything better. This is slightly dangerous. Triple words, triple letter square, and we takes tiles in front. Wow, triple O and the Q, that's grim. I've got a good lead, but I'm going to struggle with this rack, especially if opponents, well, he could score 50 points or more in row F. I hope I haven't missed something significantly better. So, what to do here? I'm really minded to change, unless I have a way of getting rid of the Q, but I'm struggling to think of a way of getting rid of the Q and playing off any of these O's, and triple O is really awful. So I can play Chin. That's not particularly good. What about Aboon? Does that play anywhere? And if I am going to play, I'd like to play off BOO. Ah, well, I have Boon here. What about this? This is 28 points. This is better than changing. The Q's worth about minus, I don't know, minus 10, minus 13, that order. A helps it, O diminishes it, but it's this rack leave is certainly not worth minus 28, and I'm not gifting opponent anything amazing. The horror continues, but I am hanging on to a lead, and in any event, each move is judged on its merit. So if I'm playing rather than changing, that's because I regard that as winninger. So I have Keiji on my rack. I have Chi on my rack. Wow, look at this. Keiji plays in column 10, making Apo, Geo, and Yon. Interesting. This hot spot in row F remains available. So I could play K in that spot. Again, better than changing, I think. That's going to be over 30 points. And I'd be leaving QI on my rack and taking out a hot spot. Where can QI play at the moment? And quite possibly nowhere. Yes, nowhere. Well, chin, column 3, but for a very low score. So I think K would be significantly better. Weak takes a T in front. What do I have beginning with the B? Nothing great. What about column 13? IO. Well, it takes an N and an S, and I have neither. Through an N, I would have sank. N of venue not available. Wow, great bingo by opponent. So KG column 10 remains available. Let me, in the first instance, see what this scores. So this is my back pocket play, 29 points, quite good. However, opponent has created a hotspot in row A. What's the best I can do there? Now, through an N, I would have Yakona. Wow, through ON I have Yakona. Let me see what this scores. I don't. I have only one A. Well, quite tempting to play KG. I don't think I can do anything about this O. 3 points between us in score. I'm not playing off the cue this turn. So KG for 29. Great, I draw the Z. Still got this cue hanging around. But there's not terribly much I can do about that. As mentioned. Oh, wow, look at that. 66 points for opponent. He's now got a 30-point lead. So, what to do here? Well, I've got QI, I've got D for Caddy and K. There's just nowhere to play them. So, look at this, and I don't have a tile for getting the Z to play twice. Wow, that would be immense. A or T to go in front of we. Wow, that would have been, or would be fantastic. So, what am I going to do here? Geo takes an A. B takes a Z. So I could play Zorai. And I'm grimacing because the score is so low. 28 points. Well, that's not ridiculously low. Doesn't give too much away. Definitely better than changing. This rack leave is not worth minus 28. Just a shame about this triple letter square. But Zorai does not feel good. So what am I missing that's better? Let me just momentarily put this back. I don't think I have anything. I don't think I have anything I do. I have Zoic for 45. That's a lot better. Yeah, and I'm getting rid of the O, splitting up the duplicate I. Rack leave not disastrous. This is the play. Well, apart from the Q, this is a nice rack. I've still got the I. There's an I in over fine. I could play just Chi for 11 and leave a half-decent 6-letter set, but it's not a monster 6-letter set. And there are not terribly many bingo lanes on this board. So any alternatives to Chi? Now, what about last turn? I could have played Door Eyes onto the E. I didn't really consider column 6 plays. That does take an O in front, but not massively dangerous. Probably wouldn't have scored 45 points, though. Still 2 U's to come. And look at this, just 11 points. of spread separating us. Zoic takes an A. Wow, what a shame I can't get my Q tripled. I do have an E for going underneath the Z, but I don't think there are any QE plays. Opponent takes that nice spot, which door eyes would have stopped opponent from going in. So my chi spot remains available, and I think that is the only spot for the Q. So, do I play chi? I have an eye on my rack. If there's a spot for QI, I could play it. This gives nothing away. And I could end up with an unplayable bingo, but I think it's time to get rid of the Q. And I draw the J, but, well, now, do I have a J-E play? Well, I have Jedi on my rack, but not quite enough space. Jet doesn't work, so I don't think I do. And I trail by 13. Great, nothing big for opponent. Can I get rid of the J? And I do need to, the rest of the rack is good. A Wee takes nothing in front, it takes an L after it. I've got an L. I don't have anything. Jail doesn't play because of URI. I could play Jedi in row C. Doesn't feel good. The word is good. The rack leave and score don't feel good. So 12 minutes on my clock. It's L. I don't really like that going with R and T. And only 20 points with the J. What a shame there's no J-E play. I have Egypt in row C. I have Jilt on my rack, nowhere for it. I absolutely need to get rid of the J. Just wondering if I can get the J tripled in row J. So I've got Jet, but not good. Is good. But Jed and Jid aren't, so that's just not working out for me. I'm going with Jedi. 424. Horrible, absolutely horrible. I pick up 2 Gs and a P. I've got an unbalanced, unbingoey rack, and I trail. Fortunately, not by much, and there is a blank to come. Now, do I have an EP play? Well, the best I can do is LEP, but that's keeping double GRT. Not so great. I've still got an L for a wheel. So I could play gel. Score's going to be low. Yon takes DI and something else. T. Now, 20 points for opponent turns over tiles. He's got a 20-point lead. I don't want to open the board up to my detriment. So let me see, what do I have in row B? And is there any way of playing a G in that spot? Tricky. Don't think so. So I think the best I saw was LEP, 22 points, pretty dismal. But it's not providing anything. But surely I can do something about this duplicate G. Beg is good. So, what about this? I feel a lot better about this. The score's dismal, but PRT, pretty good sets. And I'm creating a bingo lane, but not a massively dangerous one. And if opponent bingo's there, he will be creating floaters. I feel much better about this play. Gleg for 13. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. But I'm still in the game. I trail by 14. That could change immediately if opponent bingos. And look at the remaining tiles. Super bingo-y. So how to sort this rack out? And it's horribly unbalanced. It's a solitary vowel again, and not many vowels on the board. And my vowel doesn't go under the Z. I'd really like to play off V, R and T. Wow, fantastic bingo by opponents. Things are looking ominous for me. And I have very few plays on my rack. Having felt really encouraged by a rack leave of PRT, this particular pick has not done me any favours at all. Just so few floating vowels on the board. I'm minded to change. Just can't see anything. I will keep 1R and 1T. So, a little better. I have Tarare, that plays in column 14. Do I have anything beginning with V? I have Veratria. Fantastic. I am bingoing. Gosh. Absolutely superb. This game is not over yet, but opponents could well have a bingo rack, and if he bingos again, then I think it will be over. But I will have a consolation bingo. But if he doesn't bingo, there is hope. Now, any further lanes? Veratria is surely the best lane, and opponent very unlikely to go there. 12 minutes on his clock, 9 on mine. Tesla only takes an S on the end. Wow, look at that. Opponent does have a bingo. And only 5 tiles in the bag, so Veratria is not going to get the job done. I trail by 80. And opponent is almost able to bingo for a third time. Through an E, he would have Vaunters. Fortunately, none available. My rack, Grim. But the game is lost, so that's neither here nor there. I don't think I'm going out in 1 with this rack. Profit and forfeit don't work because the O isn't sufficiently far to the left. I do have fit in the bottom right for a half decent score. But I'm not seeing any way of getting rid of F and P. I guess FOP. But opponent is going to go out in... Well, he'll probably play Vast and Demigods for a decent score. He should be over 500, I think. Yeah, if he plays Vast, then he'll have Run, which should play somewhere. Possibly not. Maybe that's why he's hesitating. So, yeah, and that's going to take out the... Well, it's going to take out Fit. It's going to leave FOP alone. But I am expecting opponent to play bottom right. So, is there really no out for me? No, I don't think there is. I hung on to the cue for a long time at the beginning. It will be interesting to see if that was the right thing to do. I didn't feel that any of my plays were marginal in the sense of a change being close to the play I made, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, opponent has played vast. So I have fought for 16. Is that best? I think it is, unless opponent can't go out. Well, I've blocked him from playing rung. He's got ruin. So he will be going out now. And yeah, he will be just getting above 500. And the final score, 377 for me, 509 for my opponent, a winning margin of 132 points. So well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go fast. I thought about women and played Mo. Horrible rack for opponent. Plays Bun. And now I have Retines for 78 and Oneriest 1 fewer point. Opponent's rack plays Venue, and now I have the cue. So I play weak for 31. That looks fine. Burka G4. Well, stopping one square short of a double word square, but it is a cue play and has some merit. Opponent's rack plays Paioi. Kneecap C10 through this I, but keeping triple O. And I play Boon for 28, keeping AOQ. Interesting. How does AOQ compare to triple O? Both horrendous, but is AOQ 4 points better than triple O? So AOQ must be worth, I would say, about between minus 15 and minus 20. Triple O, I would say between minus 15 and minus 20. I would place those rack leaves very similar. And the scores, although there's a 4 point difference, I think a 4 point difference is fairly similar. And so C10, let's see if there's any. Well, kneecap stopping one square short of column 15, slightly dangerous in terms of S hooks. I do prefer my play. Triple O is just horrendous. Now, opponent's rack plays Overfine, which was a great spot. F4. F4, this is the move I considered for 36. And I got 7 fewer points, burning the G, and I think the G is really bad with the Q, so I'm happy with my play. However, K would have taken out this hotspot with a Z still to come, so not obvious that KG is better. And this was a great play by opponent and put him into the lead. And here we go. I play Zoic and subsequently saw Door Eyes for 5 fewer points. And both plays have merit, and the particular point about Door Eyes is that it's taking out a super hot spot, which opponent proceeds to take advantage of. Now, I'm still in the game. I only trail by 25. I've still got the wretched Q, which I finally do jettison for 11 and a decent rack leave. Yeah, so I'm happy with that play. Opponent's rack plays Bout. And I played Jedi. I didn't like it. I could have played Jared in the same spot, which definitely improves the rack leave a little and scores a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. Opponent's rack plays Tykel, which was a nice play. Good tile turnover with a blank still to come. Now, this is where things took a turn for the worst for me because I trail by nearly 30 points and I've got an unbalanced rack. So I played Gleg for 13, 10 points fewer than the optimal moves, but my rack leave of PRT, definitely 10 points better than GGLT. So GGLT, I would say, is worth probably between -10 and -15, and PRT is I would say positive between 0 and 5, so more than 10 points of difference. Now look at this, absolutely fantastic play by opponent of Tesla. And really this is where the game changed. We've been neck and neck and suddenly opponent's a bingo in front and I can't respond. So I change and look at this, nothing over 20 and horrendous rack leaves. And opponent has picked a bingo from the bag. Nice find of Demigod. And I can come back with Veratria, but it's not enough. I'd still trail by a bingo. Now we're in the end game. Opponent plays Vast. I could play Prof rather than Fop for a couple of more points. And finally, opponent goes out with turn. So, what a game. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Over 500 points for an opponent, which is a great achievement. Super close throughout until right before the end when opponent gets back-to-back bingos down. I manage a bingo of my own in the middle of that, but it wasn't enough. Opponent was a bingo ahead, and that was enough to see him over the line. So well done once again to my opponent for a good victory, and thanks to him for a great battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.